Alright, yo, it's your boy Yoshi Kid Neo, and we are back in the World of Boridil, the Ruination of Boridil. Just 1 second, so as you can see, I've kind of changed the stream layout a little bit. What I kind of want to happen is I want this to be like me in the chat box next to it, like my, essentially just a just chatting thing, but I'm having trouble getting a little pop-out thing to show up. I don't think it works the way I want it to. So unfortunately, I might not be able to kind of utilize this. I may have to put something random there or figure out a way. I might have an idea on how to get it to work, because window capture's not working for me, which is kind of annoying. But I'm gonna try getting the browser source for it. Maybe this will do it. See, we got oh no, that pops up for whatever reason. I wonder if I go to that real quick. Hold on, let me try that. And that doesn't work? Yeah, that doesn't work. Well, that's unfortunate. Okay, so yeah, it looks like I'll just have to play around with it later. But anyway, today we see what happens on their journey to wherever the hell they go. Regardless, on the road, the party's going to meet royalty. So today we unleash the Royal Griffin. It is from a homebrew source book, and it's a nasty little creature. Honestly, there's a high possibility, based on how I run it, that maybe somebody either gets knocked out or possibly killed. I don't want to kill anyone, especially because we're only on session 5. I would like them to not die, but you never know. You never know what's going to happen. This creature's pretty nasty. They killed its child last session, so this session it's going to be hunting them. And I might make it a skill challenge. I might put a skill challenge where they could possibly get away from it, at least for a little bit. But that way they know that unless they do something about it, it's going to continue hunting them. But that's all coming up. So hopefully you enjoy, and let's go ahead and get started.
To the ultimate degree, if nothing goes his way. And then if someone challenges him to a 1v1, he'll like do the 1v1 on his terms. So like he's like, oh, how do I turn off this feature or force you to use this gun that I only use? And all kinds of stuff. And still lose.
Okie dokie.
Trees.
So let's see. I take it we're all here. So last time when we met our faithful heroes, you guys had just gotten to the town of Grim Meadow. You had your cart parked by some gentlemen that were essentially doing all of the parking for folks that were coming from out of town to come and enjoy the First Winter's Festival, as you've heard it called. As you guys were approaching the large feast that was about to take place, the town mayor, Raoul, as you know him now, was introducing Lord Saxon to essentially let the townspeople know the contributions that he had made to the town, the future that the town was going to be going through, as he helped to essentially rebuild the inn as well as reestablish trade routes that may have been lost in the past, as well as him being the reason that the bandits are no longer in the region, because he hired you guys to take care of them. So as he came on stage to start speaking to the crowd, you guys had approached the festival area, in which he took none of the credit and directly threw it to you guys, and everybody cheered and clapped for you all as you came to sit at your special table. He then began to speak about how he's prepared this immaculate feast with the top chefs of the region, with the rarest ingredients from all over the world, just for this occasion. and that he can't wait to have everyone enjoy a time of celebration. And then everyone began to eat. As everyone else was eating, Dr. Thorpe and Cassiel were very hesitant and wanted to investigate their food before even thinking about taking a bite. Dr. Thorpe, being the culinary artist that he is, didn't really detect anything out of the ordinary. He could tell that the ingredients were in fact fine and exotic. Definitely some of the best artistry in the culinary world that he's seen in a while. Whereas Cassiel, as he was digging through his, actually found a finger. And this one made him really sick because everyone was chowing down. And when I say everyone, I mean the townsfolk. So he sees this as thinking that people are now eating people. So he tosses the finger in Dr. Thorpe's lap to let him know what he has found. He heads to the back end of one of the cottages to retch, and in doing so, he then uses his major image spell in order to create a griffin to try to scare people away from their food and get them to stop eating it, which did work. All the common folk, as well as Agent J, got scared shitless of this griffin that he had summoned, and they all started to run for the hills. But Lord Saxon was not amused at all, and in fact, he showed the townfolk that this was in fact an illusion, which he took a roll and tossed it straight through the griffin, and the people continued to sort of take cover and not really, know, okay, is this like, what is going on? We don't know what's going on. At this point, Cassiel ended up going into his transformative state. He unleashed the power of his sword, and he pointed it directly at Lord Saxon and started to tell him that his reign of terror, his trickery, all of his villainous acts were about to come to an end. And Lord Saxon kind of brushed it off and was like, I don't really know what you're talking about. Like, you got a nice little fancy griffin up there that you summoned. You're trying to scare these people. I don't know what the issue is here. And he pointed, or he brought up the finger, which one of the cooks came forward and showed that they were missing an index finger and also had a rag around their hand that was full of blood, and they had apologized. They thought they got rid of that pie, but as you can tell, they miscalculated. But Cassiel wasn't having any of it. He plopped a globe of darkness around Lord Saxon and entered it himself and attacked him a few times before Lord Saxon ended up walking a bit away and then casting a spell on Cassiel. After casting the spell, Cassiel ended up becoming friendly to Lord Saxon and apologetic. He dropped his spells that he had activated. He dropped his form, his unleashed weapon, and calmly sat back down and began to eat his meat pie, starting with the cook's finger. Trina attempted to smack it all out of his hands, was very unsuccessful on smacking the finger out of his mouth, but was successful with all the other attempts until the spell wore off. At which time, the people started to come back to finish their food, and Lord Saxon had sent one of you a message in your head saying, "Meet me behind the cottages. We have private business to discuss." And he then excused himself from the table and left the area. You all got up and went to go and meet him, in which you saw him accompanied by two heavily armored guards. And he began to tell you that he decided against killing an entire town because one life is not worth the lives of an entire town. So he has instead decided to kill one of you. He wasn't sure whether it was going to be Agent J or Trina or Cassiel based on the events that led to this moment. And Cassiel volunteered himself as tribute. May the odds forever be in your favor, or whatever it is they say. And
As
then
I'm
he...
writing
I know.
My characters right now.
And so he took your suggestion, and he then said that maybe he won't kill you. Maybe he'll start looking deeper into your past and find someone that you care about and kill them instead. Regardless, he's going to make sure that it hurts, whether that's physically or emotionally. And then he told you that the informant obviously wasn't going to come around, but he wants to see where this whole thing can go. So he gave you the information that you came here to seek. He told you that in the northwest regions of this empire, there is a small fishing town known as Bleakbell. That is where all of you, at least most all of you, will find the next, I guess, part of your journey or part of your quest, whatever you want to call it. He then, as he then turned around and started leaving, and said that the festivities were just about to begin, and started to laugh as he walked away towards a very luxurious-looking cart. As you guys watched him leave, you then heard screams coming from the crowd, and they started to shout that another griffin was on the way, in which you guys got ready to go to battle and fight this griffin. And you came out victorious. You destroyed the griffin. I believe it didn't even get to attack any of you. Or it got to attack. It just didn't land any hits because of Cassiel's dope-ass magic item. So, with the griffin slayed, and with you guys victorious, Raul, the mayor of the town, comes out while you guys are harvesting cue Monster Hunter noises. And during this moment, he goes, wow, that griffin we haven't seen in a while, and it's gotten significantly smaller than the last time we saw it. Take whatever you think it means, and you guys continue to harvest. And then Raul started to talk to you guys about the Winter's Festival and why it's called that, and a little bit of history of the town. And then he offered up his home to you for the night, and went about making sure the rest of the townsfolk were okay, and making sure that the festival was properly cleaned up before the sun had fully set. It was at this moment that you all were finally alone, and Cassiel started to argue with all of you about your either moral obligations, the fact that you didn't have his back, why you guys are allowing this evil man to continue doing what he's doing and not even lift a finger. You name it, Cassiel probably said something along the good lines of it. Cue the inter-party conflict. In which Lloyd was like, cool, I've had enough of this. I'm just trying to find this stone, so I'm going to go and sleep in my tiny hut. And he left, leaving the rest of you alone in Raul's house. And that is where we will pick up tonight's session. Is you guys, So as you guys are sitting there, it is just the four of you. I don't know if you have anything else that you want to talk to each other about or do in the town. It is currently around 8:02 p.m. My bad, 8:03 p.m. Is there anything the party wishes to do?
I am still currently munching on the meal that I made for all of us.
Same.
How we doing, Jinrasi? Change the music too. Actually, we'll do this one. Okay, so you guys are just hanging out, chilling, eating. Oh, last thing I forgot to include in the recap was that actually, Jeff, you remember the last thing that happened with Lloyd, right?
Yeah.
Okay, never mind. So just remember that happened. Otherwise, is there anything that you guys wish to do for the rest of the night? in the town of Grim Meadow?
I mean, I guess after I finish eating, I could like check around town, seeing if there are any points of interest that I should check out.
Yeah, I was gonna say I want to go for a midnight scroll, just trolling the streets.
Okay. Let's see. So you guys finished the food. Actually, I might use this song. So you all finish your food, which it's a lovely meal, considering the, lack of supplies around. At least for a really, really good meal. But the griffin meat is actually something that you haven't tasted before. You thought that maybe it would taste a little too gamey or a little too tough, but it's actually quite tender and delicious. It's got a nice flavor to it.
Thanks to yours truly.
True, yes, indeed. So as you guys finish, Dr. Thorpe and Agent J get up from the table and start heading towards the door.
Trina,
I just tell everybody I'm finna go just take a stroll around town.
Trina, care to join me?
Sure.
Alright. Wait outside the door until she's ready to come.
I'll head out. It'll be good to let Beltran fly around a bit.
And roll a perception for the outside.
Yeah, sure. As you guys exit, go ahead and do so.
Man, Gerald, you and your open mic.
Yeah. All types of shit's just falling. I don't know what's going on. All right. So as you two leave, you see a bunch of the townsfolk are currently finishing, like, cleaning up the major area of the feast. The main thing you notice is that a lot of the meat pies and the panic had actually fallen off of the picnic tables and onto the ground. So you notice that they've brought a lot of the herding dogs and things like that over to essentially eat some of the meat pies, and that'll end up being their supper. The rest of it, they've all started to kind of like gather up and place in these large piles where you can see they've got a bit of tinder and kindling, and are probably going to light it up. You see a couple people that are taking bits and pieces of it and essentially harvesting it as sort of like a compost or something like that they could possibly use, or trying to repurpose it instead of just scrapping it. But most of the breading you notice is essentially about to get torched. There's probably 10 people that are assisting in this cleanup, and one of them is the mayor, Raul. And they notice you guys as you come out, and they all give you a nice smile and a wave, but then continue going about what it is that they're doing.
I give a slight wave back, and continue to have my hands behind my back and just observing while walking.
Okay. Yeah, other than that, the sun is just barely over the horizon. You can tell that probably in the next 30 minutes or so, it'll be completely dark out. Other than that, there's nothing spectacular. The corpse of the griffin is no longer where it was, where you guys had left it. So you gander that the townsfolk have probably relocated that to a different location.
Okay. So, Lady Trina. Is it okay if I call you Lady?
Trina's fine though.
What do you think of the events that transpired earlier?
I think that Cassiel is very set in his convictions of right and wrong.
You are not wrong about that. Sometimes it helps to just observe what his next action is going to be.
Well, yeah. It was an interesting situation, and one that, being hot-headed, it doesn't necessarily help. So.
Indeed. What about Lloyd? What are you thinking about his situation? It's pretty set in the direction he needs to head.
I think he's pretty set in his ways as well, but kind of just on the opposite side. I think he's only wanting to help himself.
I get the feeling of that as well. I just want to see what's in everyone's best interest if we're going to travel together. To ensure.
And what about
that we
you,
don't
Dr.
endanger
Thorpe?
each other. Me? I am nobody. I just travel and further my studies.
What did you perceive about tonight's events?
I find that gentleman quite curious. Which is why I don't want to go into action unless he were to attack first. But I also don't want to blindly follow his direction. I feel it will be ill intent on his end.
Agreed. I don't think we've seen the full extent of his power yet.
I'm sure he has such a display hidden and ready for us all. That's why Cassiel, I fear, he might do something he might regret in the future. Seeming, since he is able to see the future, that is. But who knows? Maybe. There might be some type of good in going to that next town. Or we can hunt for that griffin.
So, it's just convenient that it's the same town I was heading to.
Quite convenient indeed. He says I will find something there, but he has no clue what I want, not that I know of. As a fact, I feel like my fate is quite blank. As for you...
Well, perhaps it's some new theory that he can offer you.
Yes, I know earlier he thought I wanted money. I could care less about money. What about you? What are you pursuing, Lady Trina?
Well, as you know, I serve a trio of goddesses, but they told me that something big is going down, or it's going to go down. So I needed to look into it because typically they either want to be at a battle that's going to happen to collect certain items, certain people, things like that, or they want to prevent battles from happening. And in this case, I think they want to prevent it. But they just had a feeling, so they sent me to discover more information.
It's quite charming of them.
Charming's not necessarily I'd use for the majority of them.
Interesting. Well,
But powerful? Yes, I would say powerful, definitely. Charming's not necessarily I'd word.
now I am curious. What is the trouble that they sent you to observe?
What's the trouble?
Hmm.
I think it's a battle. They're wanting to prevent it from happening, but I don't know exactly what kind of battle. So I'm assuming it probably has something to do with Saxon, since he seems to have his hand in all the little pies and cookies around here.
Yes, and his, I hold up air quotes, foresight.
Yes, I wonder if it's not necessarily foresight. I wonder if it's something powerful is feeding him information about what they're going to do.
It would be very far-fetched if that was the case. I'm not much of someone who has affinity for magics, but his ability to use spells and magic in knowing that there are magic hunters is quite interesting in its own right.
It's just the way he stared in the fire. Something was unsettling about it. Like he was almost listening or seeing or something. I don't know.
I
Stared in the fire.
wish I
Something
was there
unsettling
to
about
witness it myself.
Like he was almost
I didn't get a chance to ask the
listening
chef that
or
was helping me cook that meal
seeing
any questions.
Mm.
But everybody seemed to be in fear of something. He's holding everything over everybody's heads at this point. Cassiel volunteering his own life is not going to help the situation at all either.
No.
I don't think, at least.
Who knows?
Well, I guess we will perhaps stay here for a couple of days and then revisit the conversation of what we will do next.
I need to move on and go to technically, I guess, the town where he's wanting us to go. But I'm not just going to go in blindly. So,
That is advised. And I will do what I can to keep us on course.
well, you are good at handling the horses in the cart, so.
Indeed. I appreciate the compliment.
It's weird how we've all been together for, I don't know, less than a week or so. And I already feel like I'm friends with the majority of you.
Just the majority.
There's some who still need to open up, but yeah, we're all getting there, I think. Although
thoughts
with what happened with Cassiel, we have a minor setback.
Hopefully, I may steer both him and Lloyd back on the right path.
Hopefully. I'll try to help in any way I can. But Cassiel's pretty mad at me too.
Much appreciated. So, tell me, how did you get to serve some goddesses? It's quite interesting, to say the least.
Oh, it's not that interesting of a story. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't regret the decisions I've made. So.
Yeah, other than.
And what about you? How did you get into psychology?
I've always had a fascination of the human mind, how it works. I specifically counsel those who have created great crimes, like murder, sprees of any kind. It's not quite often that I speak to the normal folk and help counsel them to whatever past they may have. But I have a lot of stories of the, how'd you say, weirdos that I may have found into.
Well, I can't wait to hear them. I always love a good horror story.
More horror story. Well, Maybe next time we are all together and on good terms, I'd say. I will share the stories with you all. For now, perhaps we should be getting back. There's nothing too interesting going on out here.
Yeah, all seems quiet. I am worried that there might be another griffin that's much bigger than the one that we just fought.
Now, there is an option. Saxon did say that well, his men, before we dispersed of them, did say that they were caring for a griffin in that cave. Maybe they're talking about the one that they were taking care of.
Perhaps.
Now, we can head towards town, or we can head back. It's honestly up to the majority rules at this point.
Yeah.
I will follow whatever the choice may be, and assist in any way I can. Oh, I meant to ask you.
Mhm.
What are your thoughts on Agent J?
Interesting. I mean, it's hard to get a read on him considering he says a lot of things that we don't understand. But, I mean, it seems like he has a good heart, good intentions.
Yeah, he's completely out of the loop, aside from the situation a few days ago.
Mm-hmm.
Man, he never thought that you can kill a man by slapping him.
Yeah. That was unfortunate.
Indeed. Well then, I will head back.
I shall do the same.
I'll start
It was a
walking back
tiring day.
towards the house. And like undoing my tie to get ready to like rest.
Okay. So Agent J, you left the house as well. Is there anything specific you tried to do?
Yeah, I'm not really doing anything, but you can go ahead and pass me though.
Okay.
I'll just type to you what I was gonna do.
That works. Also, if you could, you're the last one I need a D100 and history check from. And then before next session, I'll have a journal entry for all of you about the history that you know, and a journal history for each individual. Because I've got an idea for Agent J's history check. It'll be pretty dope, I think, but we'll see. Okay, so
You should roll high, Gerald.
yeah. Choose to roll high.
Yeah, because we can, right?
Exactly. Just not with that attitude.
You're a lot nicer than I would have been.
Okay, so Agent J ends up coming back shortly after Trina and Dr. Thorpe. And from what you guys have noticed is that Lloyd still hasn't come back at all.
Where's Lloyd? You haven't seen him? All right. Good talk.
It's just
Well, I
Trina.
mean, wouldn't we have
You're
seen
right.
him while we were walking around?
Maybe, but you didn't.
Okay.
Perhaps I should go search for him then.
Maybe just to make sure he's okay.
Right.
Also, unless
Right.
did Cassiel leave the house or did he stay there?
I stayed there.
Okay.
No one invited me.
Roasted.
to go with them.
Ouch.
Damn, man.
You remember as I when everybody was leaving, I made eye contact with you, kind of with the, "How are you guys going?" And then you guys just walked out the door, didn't say anything. So I'm just in this house. I guess I'll sleep here by myself, alone.
Well, eventually
Without
your new
anybody else.
comrades have come back, at least Agent J, Dr. Thorpe, and Trina. They come back and they see you in this house all alone. There's no one there beside you. I'm
My
just
troubles have not all gone.
joking.
Casael,
Hello, Dr. Thorpe.
how are you feeling? Now that
Pissed.
moment hasn't passed yet, right?
Hurt. Betrayed. But that's okay.
Why? Perhaps we will,
Oh.
me and you alone, talk whenever we get the chance. For now, I would need to go search for Lloyd. He hasn't been back yet. Can you join me?
I don't think you should.
Yeah.
It's been a long day. Well, a couple days. I think I'm gonna hit the sack.
I understand. Well then, any of you are welcome to join me. I'm gonna head back out. I roll up my sleeves and grab my blades just in case, and have them
Okay.
sheathed next to my belt buckle. And start leaving.
Okay. So as you're on your way out to go look for Lloyd, Casael, as you're sitting there kind of just pondering the past few days, what all has happened, you started out just trying to do your best. You started out with a simple job of going and apprehending bandits, bringing them toward the local townships in for a bounty, and then taking that bounty and trying to use it to somehow either donate it to the town or to use it to just make someone else's life a little bit better as you're on your quest to better yourself and to seek your ultimate goal that has been set in place by Uriel. That's how you say it, right? Uriel?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Si, senor.
And then now all of a sudden you've got this group of people that are, helping you, but they're doing it for their own gains. Something that you're not really used to. You've always been there to help other people. You've always put the needs of others before your own in order to try to achieve this goodness that you seek. And going back on the recent events within the last hour, you really start to question a lot of the different moralities, especially of the people that you're grouped with right now. And while you're thinking these thoughts, you start to hear your familiar Hothgrom speak to you.
Do not fret, young Casael. These are a part of your tests. You have to learn in this mortal life to seek your goals, to accomplish that which is before you, while also aiding those around you, even if their morals do not align with your own. It is a very, very difficult puzzle, but in the end, it is what truly allows you to shine and outshine them. I believe that this group was put in front of you for a reason, Casael. I have been wielded by many warriors in ancient times, and many of them have found a group such as yours. Many different minds, with many, or from many avenues of life, all with various goals, some of them similar, most of them vastly different. This is all a test, and I have no doubt in my mind that you will be able to pass this one. Do not take things too seriously. Maybe a little bit of a light heart can help you through this first part of the trial.
Thanks, Hofgorm. I just get so frustrated that people don't see what I see. Like, I forget that people don't think like me, and it just catches me off guard every time. But you're right, it doesn't matter. I'll still be me.
Yes, and that is something that is a part of your growth, I am sure of it. Uriel has a special place in mind for you. He would not have put you on this path if it was not to help you grow.
Yeah, you're right. So, I think I'll carry on. I thank you for your words, Hrothgarm. I always knew you could help me out. Maybe you should be the psychiatrist in our group.
I do not believe I would be quite qualified. I have been around for many a century, but I still do not understand mortals.
That perspective of mortality is, I'm sure, very foreign, where you just exist indefinitely. It's gotta be confusing. I mean, is that part of your path that you're seeking? To understand more?
My path is to aid those in which wield me, nothing more. I do not have an inevitable beginning or end until my guidance is no longer needed.
And I've told you this a couple times, but you are one cool sword.
Well, thank you. And you are a cool wielder of a sword, I think you would say.
Aw, so sweet.
I do not know what it means to be cool, unless you are talking about the steel that I am made of.
I suppose we can call it that, which... You are cold, I suppose.
And you just hear a little somewhat of an agreeance come across, but you can tell that is Hrothgarm's way of essentially ending what it had to say to you.
Okay.
So as you're having that conversation, do you talk to Hrothgarm in your head or out loud?
It is established that unless I say in my head, I am speaking out loud.
Okay, cool. I just want to make sure
that was all.
the rest
That
of
was all out loud. Yeah.
So everybody but Dr. Thorpe hears Cassiel as he's kind of like fiddling with the food in front of him, because he didn't eat his meat pie. He just ate the finger. And he also threw up, so his stomach is pretty empty, and he's kind of just playing with the food that Dr. Thorpe made and just talking out loud. So as that's happening, Dr. Thorpe, you exit. And Lloyd, exactly how far away did you go from the house/town before putting up your dome and your alarm spell?
Oh, I just found someone's barn that was slightly open and empty, and then I just sort of went inside of it.
Okay. So Dr. Thorpe, go ahead and roll me a perception check. You'll need to roll a 20 or higher to have any chance of finding Lloyd. Oh shit, well, there we go. So Dr. Thorpe, you're walking around and, hold on. Everyone say hi to Ingrid because she's watching. Hi, babe.
Ingrid.
I wonder if she just came here and then said that and then left. She's done that a couple times. She'd be like, hi, and then she just exits. So, Dr. Thorpe, you're walking around, and as you leave, you're examining the ground to see if you can see maybe a trail to follow. And you do find one, and it leads to what looks to be a barn that hasn't been utilized for the day. More than likely, it was cleared out, and the horses were used to set up this festival. And you see that the door is slightly ajar, which you know that most stable hands and farmers, they don't typically leave their barns unlocked like this. So you head inside. And in the middle of this barn, surrounded by hay, you see a similar color to the hay, but a very smooth surface, which after the past week, you've been living in this thing pretty much. So you know this to be Lloyd's tiny hut spell. Also, Ingrid says hello to everybody. How fun.
Realized I was on mute.
You're always on mute.
Not always. I just didn't want to interrupt.
So, Dr. Thorpe, you do see this dome that's sitting in the middle of this haystack. Even if you hadn't seen this spell before, you see it, and it's very bizarre to be surrounded by all this hay, all the straw, and to see all the like different points and ends to it and sort of the fluffiness to it. And then you just see the solid, smooth half sphere in the middle of it.
Is there like a nearby pebble next to me?
Yeah, sure. You look outside and there's plenty of like rocks in the dirt trail that leads up to this thing.
I grab a couple. I will throw one at the sphere first. See if it catches his attention.
And
I
Lloyd,
already know you're there.
Yeah, the alarm spell definitely goes off in Lloyd's mind. At least I think it's in your mind. I forget exactly where it goes. I'm about to read it, but either way, it goes off as Dr. Thorpe comes through the threshold.
I say hello.
Lloyd.
And
Okay,
on hearing his voice, I put down the hut. Hello.
I drop the other rock on the floor, and then approach him. And like, is there like a haystack somewhere that I can sit?
Yeah, there's a like a bounded bale of hay that's pretty sturdy that you could sit on.
All right, I take my blades off my belt, and then sit them next to me, and then sit down and cross my legs, and clasp my fingers. He's like, "How are you feeling?"
Oh, I'm good.
Left in a bit of a hurry. Anything on your
Oh,
mind?
not so much of a hurry, just more an annoyance, and I've met his type before, and I don't have time for them. So nothing against him. It's just I very difficult to talk to, and I just don't want to waste my time.
I understand. So you'd rather sleep out here than within the safety of your comrades?
It's not the first time I've slept outside. It won't be the last, but seeing how angry he was getting, it didn't seem like he was going to calm down anytime soon, and it seemed like most of his anger was directed at me, for just being honest. Strangely enough, he didn't yell at the guy who literally ran away from the griffin fight. Didn't bring him up at all. But
Indeed.
decided it would be best to just remove my presence because he was not going to calm down anytime soon.
I'm sure he'll cool off.
Yeah, maybe.
But what are your thoughts on what transpired this evening?
Oh, well, it definitely seems that our slippery fellow has plans for us, whether we like it or not. And it's not the first time I've been used before like this. But at the same time, if he did mean us harm, he would have already done it. So, for the time being, we're safe. As for the town, I think it's relatively safe. They just got to worry about the other griffin, which they mentioned was bigger. Other than that, just depends on what you guys are planning on doing, moving on soon or later. I still intend to move on relatively quickly.
Well, I've already expressed to Trina that I follow whatever decision that the bulk of us make.
Okay.
I'll assist in any way I can.
Yeah, and despite what our eager individual says, I'm not opposed to helping people and whatnot. It's just I'm not going to take unnecessary risks. And unfortunately, this risk of going to the town is one that I must make. So I will be going. But I'm not going to go in blindly. I'll do some scouting out ahead of time if I can. Try to approach it cautiously.
As Trina said, we should go, but definitely be on our toes.
Definitely.
Now, you said you're looking for a rock that fell in
Yes.
the sky. Are you able to tell
Yes.
me about that?
Admittedly, it might sound strange, but I don't know much about said item or object. I've never seen it myself before. I've only been told about its existence, and it's something that I must track down and obtain.
That's fair. Everyone has a goal in mind.
Not so much a goal, just more of a necessity.
Indeed. So you have Trina, who has some investigating to do. Me, I just want to further my studies, so I don't have a real goal in mind. Agent J wants to get back home. Casael wants to find his purpose. You have this rock you need to find.
Yes.
Interesting indeed.
And what is your purpose? You were kind of vague on that. What studies are you trying to expand?
Well, because of my study in psychology, I just want to discover the new aspects of the human brain. How the mind works in different situations. I feel adventure is best for that. Meeting new people, different folks.
So you're going to tag along with random folk to pick their brains on how they work? Has that been your strategy so far?
Well, I've done worse. I was with a group of bandits before I got with you guys.
Yeah.
And, they seem pretty insane themselves.
I mean, they usually are desperate. That's why they do the things they do.
Indeed. But it's not as vague as you think. Psychology is quite a magnificent subject, actually. It's always interesting to talk to anyone. And if they had a lingering affliction in their brain or in their heart, anything weighing on their heart that they want to get off, it's always okay to release it.
Oh, of course. Yeah, I'm all one for studying different topics and areas of understanding. I have done a lot of research in my day about magic and history, things of that nature. So I can respect that.
Therefore, if there is anything that's on your mind, I have a privacy that I keep between everyone.
Oh, oh.
It's
I
my
see
job.
what you're saying. Well, I appreciate it, but I honestly feel that me divulging information would make things more difficult. Not for me, but, well, I'm not sure how much our slippery fellow knows about us. He seems to have a limited understanding of you and at least our otherworldly fellow. And I'm not sure what he knows about me, and if I divulge it, would he learn more? But even if I did tell you, I doubt that it would even matter.
Oh, Lloyd, I'm sure he knows much about you already.
Some.
Seems to have some form of foresight.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Or
He seems
unless
to know well where
there
we're
would have
going.
it. As Trina says, maybe he perhaps has some sort of higher level entity feeding him information.
Maybe.
So there's a chance. Well,
Well, I'll give you this tidbit. What I'm doing is not for myself, as our high moral individual thinks. Not for myself. It's for a higher purpose. And if I do not get this rock, it's going to be putting many more people at danger. So I do not do this in a selfish way.
sounds like a bit of a contract, if you ask me.
Not so much of a contract.
I understand.
It's definitely not a moral obligation
you know,
either.
a necessity
It's
for you to be on this
A
quest.
reason for living.
Yes,
Well,
that would be correct.
well, I will not pry anymore. Now, offer still stands to come back if you want. I can keep you away from Casael if you want to do that.
I'll let him cool off until the morning.
All right. Well, I know where you are, so at least you're safe.
Oh,
I'll
yes.
leave you to
Well,
it. If you need us,
thank you
know where to
for your
find us.
concern. Of course. You have a good night.
All right. I dust off my pants and grab my blades and walk out.
Okay.
And then I put up another the tiny hut and alarm, and I put the owl in the barn, so another layer of watching eyes.
Gotcha. Okay. So that brings Dr. Thorpe back to the group. As you walk in, you can see that Casael is looks like he's getting ready to go to sleep. The rest of your group is there too, kind of just kicking their feet up and chilling out.
All right. Well, I can close the door and have a seat at the table again. Lloyd is okay. He's nearby. So we can all rest easy if there's anything else you want to do.
Okay.
All right. I'm assuming the bowls from the stew that I made is still there, right?
Correct.
All right. I proceed to get up and clean up the table.
Alrighty. So, Dr. Thorpe begins to clean up everything that you guys have been eating, as well as everything that he used to cook. In doing so, takes him about 15 minutes or so. So, unless there's any last minute things that you guys do before a long rest, we'll go ahead and fade to black and pop into the next day.
I guess I'll do that long rest then.
Oh, man, I'm just gonna go to sleep. Oh, yeah, I gotta initiate that, don't I?
Yeah, so if you cast any spells, definitely go ahead and take your long rest so that it replenishes everything appropriately. It'll also do that for any of the once a day activations that you have, such as Castiel stuff. Otherwise, the next day, as you guys wake up, you can hear rain outside of the locations that you're sleeping at. Heavy rain, in fact.
Brady, before I walk back, and before I do, I'm gonna cast water breathing on myself,
Okie dokie.
and then on the head over.
Okay. So you head back to where the party was staying for the night, and you open the door, walk inside, and I would assume that Dr. Thorpe probably takes any opportunity he can to cook food, right?
Yeah, I was gonna make some breakfast.
Okay. So yeah, as you come in, some of the party are still, like resting, while Dr. Thorpe is up at the stovetop, currently cooking a breakfast. Smells like he's got some bacon and eggs. Very, very standard meal, but the aroma is obviously very delicious.
I'm assuming there's like no. Is there any like tea or coffee around that I can perhaps prepare?
There's some coffee, yes, that you're also
prepare that.
brewing.
Cool. Ah, Lloyd, have a seat. Should be finished in just a second.
Ah, well, thank you. Good morning.
Morning to you. Now, continuing to finish up the food and start setting plates.
Okay. So the rest of you start to rouse from your sleep, and there is Lloyd sitting at the table now. I do not know how the rest of you wish to proceed.
Table. Is there any coffee for me?
Yes. And I get the. I'm assuming it's a kettle.
Correct, yeah.
A kettle, and I pour it inside a cup, and I walk it over to Trina. And here you go. Have a seat. Breakfast should be ready in just a second.
I walk in and I put my hand on Lloyd. I go, hey, sorry, I lost my temper last night. That was a lot. I still got your back. I look at everybody's like, I still got everyone's back. Don't worry.
Ah, well, thank you. Apology accepted.
Our
Likewise.
apologies, Cassia.
Yeah.
I look
I guess
over and.
That was the first time we really had full conflict. It's not fair for me to really have expectations on how it'll be handled. I should have talked about this beforehand.
Well, thank you. Well, yeah.
Probably would have been smart of us.
Yeah, to make a plan for proceeding. But yeah, thank you for talking to me about this. Thank you, I appreciate it.
Hey, I'm just trying to do what's best for everybody, and doesn't mean I'm always right.
Oh, Katael, would you like some coffee?
Sure.
All right, for him a cup as well. What about you, Lloyd?
Oh, I
There's a
don't drink.
finger in here.
Oh no.
Hey, do you guys buy that bullshit? Like, that he was. I've been thinking about it. He was just messing with me, right? Like, that finger was not accidentally in that pie. There's no way. He put it in there to mess with me. He knew I was gonna react.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't
believe
think
it
the
was
finger was
planted.
on accident, but I don't think the pies were actually people pies.
Yeah, I feel the same word that the individual, the cook, actually cut his finger off, but then our slippery fellow, he took the opportunity to place it under you. So
Yes.
Better to be
And
safe
I
than
think you're
sorry and just
close.
not
I
eat the
think he
pies.
cut his finger off on purpose to mess with me. But
he could have done that.
because
He does have that
you know
pull.
what he was able to do to me with that spell, so
He does have that pull with him.
Yeah, I
So.
definitely think it was on purpose.
I hand Lloyd the cup of coffee, and then
Oh.
I proceed to give the other cup to Casael. And then
Thank you. I don't drink coffee though. I appreciate it.
Oh, okay, then we'll be for Agent J if he prefers it as well.
hey, do you guys think that he has foresight, or do you think maybe he's in contact with something else that has foresight?
I think
I don't know.
either something else has foresight or that thing gave him that ability.
What thing?
I don't think I haven't. Just whatever he's serving. I don't know.
Oh,
I get this
see.
weird vibe from him that he's not working alone and he's got ulterior motives and is serving someone or something.
Yeah. Either something is bestowed power on
I
him,
kind of
or
like give Trina like a side eye, like sounds familiar.
It does.
Like kind of a smirky, not like pointing out anything, but just kind of like a smirk.
And she kind of smirks back.
I don't know if it's someone giving him power or if it's his own, but either way, he's very confident and under no circumstance did he ever feel threatened, I feel. And I feel like the situation's always been under his control.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to control a situation when you know how it's going to come out.
Yeah. But either way,
Unfortunately, which is why he probably knew instantly that my major image was it was an illusion. So,
Yes. As I just start bringing out the plates of food, and setting it in front of everybody, along with utensils next to them.
thank you.
well, thanks.
A morning classic. Sunny side up eggs with bacon strips. Hope it is to your liking. Not that there is
Thank you.
much of a mess up with eggs. Now, where's Agent J? I assume that he will be awake by now. Okay, I guess we're eating without. I set a plate or on a table where Agent J will sit, and take the coffee that I gave Lloyd and put it on next to the plate and give Lloyd some water.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is Agent J around? He went out for a morning stroll.
Alright, I just set up a plate for myself, and then in very Hannibal-esque fashion, just setting up, like being all fancy, putting a napkin on my on my thighs and everything like that, and then just starts eating.
Okay. You guys begin eating. If you have any table talk as you're eating, go for it. Otherwise, excuse me, are you all awake? It's Raoul. Mayor?
Yeah. Yes, come in.
He cracks the door open and looks in. Ah, perfect. I didn't want to disturb you, but I wasn't exactly sure what type of sleep schedule you all are on. I've come to inform you that yesterday's mess has been cleaned up, and we have put the rest of the remains of that griffin onto a bonfire. We were going to light it soon in order to get rid of it. Did you need anything else from it before we did so?
Yes. I can see if there's anything I can scavenge from it. What about the rest of you?
Not particularly.
And also, your friend, Agent J, I think you called him, he's been kind of acting a little strange, walking around, just staring at everyone. Does he do that often?
We don't really know what he does often. He just sort of reacts to things on his own.
Also, his clothes are rather strange as well. Perhaps maybe he's from a different land? I don't believe I've
He's
seen.
not from around here.
Ah,
He's very strange customs.
which region do you know?
He said
So,
New York.
He looks at you, sort of with a furrowed brow, pondering what you just said. New York. I don't believe. Yeah.
We're on the same page, you and I.
And then at the point I have my suit on, have my suit jacket and everything on. Well, his clothing doesn't look any different from what I wear.
No, but I've never really seen folks dressed in all black before. Especially those things that he has on his eyes. You can't see his eyeballs when he wears them.
I look to Trina. Well, we have a companion here who happens to wear all black. Not too different.
I guess I see your points, but women, it usually means that they're a widow. Males, I guess a widower? Did he lose a wife? And then he looks to you, Trina. Did you lose a husband?
personal choice. I like black.
Oh.
You've never seen Men in Black?
He looks at you and kind of shrugs. Honestly, not many men get the chance to marry and wed in this town. And a lot of the merchants choose not to because they're away from home for so long. They don't wish to put that burden on someone. So no, I honestly I'm not accustomed to it, so.
Okay. Oh, would you like some coffee? Just brewed a fresh pot.
Sure, yes. Hopefully you use the good stuff that I got just a few weeks ago.
Would I know that?
Roll a D100, you have a 50% chance. And that means 50 or lower, you got the good stuff. 51 and higher, you got the shit stuff. Everybody's been drinking some gourmet shit.
Alright, cool. Alright,
He goes over and he grabs a cup, you pour it, and he sniffs it. Ah, you did get the good stuff. And he takes a sip of it. Yes, this comes directly from the capital. I believe they have a plantation just outside of the castle up there. And the leftovers that the queen and the royal family do not wish to partake, I have a contact that brings me a bag every now and then.
It's quite interesting. I might have to visit myself.
Yes, it's quite a lovely place. And he kind of looks towards the ground. Just when you do get up there, I would probably avoid using any of your magics that you displayed yesterday.
Of course. Wouldn't be a problem. Oh, by the way, I do see that it is raining outside quite hard. Do you happen to have any spare robes or anything that you can...
Yes, I'm sure that we could procure some, perhaps maybe at the inn. Our tailor has been sick for the past 10 days or so she has not been at work. And usually she just deals with repairs or custom requests. But I believe we may have some extra towels and such for the washroom. I will go and procure each of you one.
Thank you. And, where's this bonfire happening?
Just outside of town. You can't miss it, really. It's on the hill.
Very well. I will head to that corpse and see if I can retrieve what I can.
Very well. We will wait your arrival before lighting it. And he nods his head, puts his hat back on, and takes another sip of his coffee and before placing it onto the table. No need to clean up. I can take care of it. And before I go, do you all plan to stay for a few more days, or do you plan to travel?
I look to the rest of the party and I'm like, maybe perhaps a day more, and then we'll be out of your hair.
It's no trouble, really. I just wish to give you a bit of forewarning. Typically, the heavy rains, especially during this time of the year, foreshadow the first snow of the winter. And if that happens when you're on the road, then God help you.
Thank you for the
Is she with us leaving
consideration.
today?
We'll let you know what we decide.
Yes, very well. But if you wish to stay in town, we can make sure to have plenty of space until the first snow happens. It usually clears up after a 10-day or so.
Well then, pack my goods, and I was like, okay, I will head out. If anyone wants to join me.
I'll tag along.
And he nods his head and heads out before you. And he starts heading towards the inn to grab you guys some extra clothing.
Right. Guess I'll follow behind him to the inn.
Okay. And as he's walking, he notices you following him, and yes. And he points up the hill. That's where the griffin is, unless you were coming to assist me.
I can assist. Not going to be too much longer anyway. Just head to the griffin right after.
And he nods his head, and you guys head to the inn, which he goes towards where the washroom, like the public bath is, and he goes into the men's changing area and opens up one of the many stalls, and there are spare clothing items, which he grabs enough for the gentleman, hands them to you, and then he goes towards the women's area, and he kind of yells in there, occupied? Waits for a moment, doesn't hear anything, and walks in there and grabs a single change of clothes for Trina. And from what you notice, these are very basic clothing items, very farmer-esque. So all of you can go ahead and add to your inventory just common farmer clothes. There you go. I don't know if you wish to bring them back to the house, or perhaps maybe your cart, so that they don't get wet. And then I will meet you at the Griffin.
Very well. Thank you again.
He nods his head and starts to walk up the hill.
All right. Is there anything that you want to look into before we head up that hill?
Nothing particular.
All right.
Unless you did.
All right. Now, put on the clothes, and then I will start heading up.
I do the same.
Okay. So you guys head up the hill. Oh, go ahead. No, you go ahead.
So, are we really about to light this beacon of, hey, I killed your baby to the adult griffin on the side of a hill?
It seems like that is something that they would decide to do. Now, if you want, we can see if we can stop the event from happening. Either way,
Thinking.
I just want to procure some more parts from the creature before the inevitable.
Yeah, it's usually the best idea to mutilate the body first. You know, for when the mom arrives, she won't recognize it.
It's already done a lot as is. No helping it now.
You're not wrong.
Wouldn't mind trying. The meal of last night was quite interesting. Wouldn't mind experimenting with the heart. See if there's anything interesting I could read with that for our next dinner.
You get to the site and you're going for the heart specifically.
Mm-hmm.
All right, survival check for me. And then based on your survival check, we'll determine the percentage on a D100.
Wait, as I see him go up and do this, I'm gonna cast guidance on him. I think I can cast on other people.
You can, yes.
Yeah.
No need to actually cast it since it's a cantrip, but
Lit.
you'll add 3 to whatever the result is for your survival check. All right.
Okay.
So you have a 5% chance to get the heart intact in a usable condition. I'll say you have a 85% chance starting from after the 5, so anywhere between 6 to 90 to get it in a condition where you could use it for like cooking or something like that. And then there is a 10% chance that you accidentally destroy and like slaughter the heart to where you don't even know what's different between the muscle tissue and the heart. So roll a D100. That was close. So you're chopping away at the heart. You go in from, the rib cage, you crack the ribs to get to it. You end up slicing a little too deep on most of the parts, but you inevitably get the heart out. Unfortunately, you notice that you've cut some of the pieces of it off. You've also made some puncture wounds to it. You can tell that it's a heart. It's just a very, rough job that you did. But you can add rough griffin heart. That'll be fun, so that we know.
Rough griffin.
So what you gonna do with that? Gonna try to eat it?
And I look to Lloyd and smile. Have you ever had griffin heart before?
I can't say that I have killed a griffin before.
Well, it's time to do some experimenting, don't you think?
I suppose. Well, speaking of that, I have an idea. I'm gonna cast guidance on myself, and I'm gonna try to get one of the tendons from its body.
Okay.
And then cast it on myself, and then do that. And I do not get one.
Yeah. You go in, you end up just saying fuck it, and you you slice like a big ass portion of the forearm off. There's tendons in there somewhere, but it's probably gonna take maybe better tools to actually get them because of how, how fine they are.
Well, that was a good attempt, I guess. An attempt was made. Well, I think I'm good for now.
Is there any more tendon left there to try and retrieve?
We'll say that Lloyd actually attempted in many different areas before saying fuck it, so no.
Okay. All right. I was going to try and get some for him, but yeah, there's no more then. That's fine.
And you guys see Raul, he's got his, hat on, which is helping to block all the water, and he's got a heavy coat, and he's kind of like scratching his head underneath it. Not to intrude, but we really should get this started as quickly as possible.
Now, quick question. Do you think this is a smart idea? Considering this could possibly be...
Bring the mother?
Indeed.
Yes, if we do not do this, and the mother were to go out looking for her child and find its corpse mutilated in this state around our town, I do not believe that Grim Meadow would last for very long. This is a proper send-off to a royal creature such as the Griffin. We have heard stories from generations past where they have had a griffin somehow die on the premise of the town, and they did not take care of it properly, and the town was almost destroyed. Had it not been for a group of merchants that were passing by with a large group of soldiers, Grim Meadow would probably have been destroyed that very day. And since then, we have had scholars come by and teach us just a little bit to help us protect ourselves in case the griffins do attack. Last night, I don't believe anyone was